Hi folks, my name is Carol Durham. I've lived at the forest for about 2 years and have discovered that folks here have a lively sense of humor. So I thought I'd like to share a little bit of some of my travel experiences with you. I know this is a very well-traveled group. You've been all over the world and had interesting experiences, and I always like to hear what you have to say. So I thought perhaps maybe I could share some of my more unexpected travel experiences with you. We'll begin in London. I was part of a small group visiting Europe, various places, and we landed in Heathrow at London. And because our flight out of Chicago was late, we were in a bad rush to make the connection on to our next stop. And it's of course, most everybody, men and women, need to take a bathroom break right then between. So we were all in a rush to do this. So the women went in, moved pretty fast, oddly enough, and then came back out, and our group leader said, "Carol, we're missing somebody. Would you please go into the men's room and see if there are any people from Fort Wayne," which is where I was from, in there? And I guess I hesitated. He said, "But there's nobody else around. The plane's going to leave. We got to go. Go on in." He said, I peeked in there and there didn't seem to be any men in there. Okay, so I walked in the men's room. He was right, there was no one standing around, but there was a closed door. And so a little unsure what to do in the men's bathroom there, but anyhow, so I kneeled down, looked down, and there were a pair of men, there was 2 men's legs. No, one man with 2 legs. And I could see he was sitting, and his pants were around his shoes. And I said, "Anybody from Fort Wayne in here?" Nothing. And I yelled louder, "Is there anyone from Fort Wayne in here?" No. So I said, "Okay." And I went off and got my plane and said, "No, there was no one in there from our group." So that was our intro into that trip. The next one I'm going to talk about is in Moscow, in Russia. These are different trips at different times, and I had different levels of sophistication from one to the other, so there's not a lot tying this together. So I said that this was in Moscow. Our little group had tickets to the Bolshoi Ballet, and so I need to use the restroom first, and so I did, went in, and the encore the music began to flow out, and I thought, oh, I've got to get out there. I'm not sure where my seat is. So I took care of business, stood up, tried the door. The door was jammed. I was the last one in the women's bathroom, and I couldn't open the door. I began to panic. So I looked down on the floor to see if I could crawl under the door. No, it went to the floor. I thought I could stand on top of the toilet and go over, which is a little hysterical, seems in retrospect, and it was too high up. I couldn't do that. So I started banging on the door. Help, help, I can't get out. And finally, some woman in the vicinity came and unlocked it, and I rushed out and was knocking her down. So that was another uncomfortable, little odd happenstance. The next one is in Iran. This was a different trip, obviously. It was a long trip, almost a month. And our first night there, we had dinner. There were 7 in our group. I call it the trip from heaven and the group from hell, but that's another story. Just ask me and I'll be happy to tell you about it. And so it was a beautiful garden, and we had dinner there, and my first real effort in eating Iranian food, which I love, by the way. And so then I decided that after the dinner was finished and there was lovely music and so on, I needed to go to the bathroom before the trip back to our hotel. So I finally find out the direction to go in for the restrooms. So I get there, and there's a sort of a little cubby there with 2 doors, but the doors are marked in Farsi. I had no idea how to speak Farsi. I didn't know which was male. I didn't know much was female. I thought, So I decided to just stand there and wait and see who came out of where. So finally, a gentleman came out of one door, so I said, well, that must be the women. So I went in there and took care of business. But after that, I thought it probably would behoove me to learn how to read at least that much Farsi, so I wouldn't run into that situation again. Another trip, side trip in Iran, was at Mashhad, which is a really religious site and a pilgrimage site. It's really a big deal in Iran. One of the descendants of Muhammad is buried there. And it's a beautiful place with the grounds, with museums, with all sorts of interesting things, and lots of parchment of the Quran. And it was just a fascinating place to go. However, we had to put on full-length chadors before we could go in because it was such a religious holy place for them. And it appeared as if there was one size fits all because they were black all the way down, they were rayon, and long sleeves, high necks. We didn't have to have our head covered, which surprised me, but we were given a belt to put around the chador, and then would pull up excess material to kind of drape over it, So, and because being rayon, it just, would drop down, and I'd have to pick it up. And it was not very comfortable, and I'm sure I didn't look very faithful in it. Anyhow, and we were free to wander around the grounds on our own. And we were not allowed to go in the actual burial site of Muhammad's heir. And so we except we had one little Asian girl in our group, and we thought maybe she looked enough Iranian. She was dark hair, dark eyes. So we sent her in to report back what was going on in the temple, or in the mosque. So I wandered around and was fascinated by the place, just fascinated. And so we decided it was time to take care of my business. And they have a women's pavilion because, of course, the women, this is pretty reverent place. So the women were all covered up. And so they had this large pavilion for women as a rest area. And I noticed that as soon as the women got through the doors, they would throw off their chadors, and some of them smoked, and there were lots of couches. It was just a really interesting place to observe and be. No one treated me, although I'm sure it was pretty obvious I was Western, but no one was unpleasant or unkind or anything. And it was really a beautiful, beautiful place. And I decided to go to the bathroom, so I went in, but there was no hooks to hang anything on, and it was a squat toilet, so I had to put the camera around my neck, the purse around my neck, drape some of the fabric over my arm, and then try to accomplish business. This was not an easy chore, let me tell you. So that was another one. And then Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur. We visited the prior English ambassador's home and went to a lovely dinner there. And again, they had a Western toilet and they had squat toilets. Lots and lots of Muslims in Malaysia. And so I went in to use the facilities and I noticed some footprints on top of the white commode. And many people, it's a remembrance to me. I need to know that the way we do things isn't the way lots of people in the world do things. But I thought that was a really interesting experience too. And then one final one, driving back in my home in Fort Wayne, Indiana, there was a gathering place where people would go after work, and it was a big restaurant building, and we would go up the stairs. If you wanted to go to the bathroom, you went upstairs on the inside of the building, men on the left, women on the right. Well, somehow I got mixed up and I went in the men's room. knew immediately I was in the wrong place. I came out because I was at the top of the stairs on the inside of the building. People saw what I did and they applauded. So, of course, I took a bath and then went on and completed my business. But anyhow, that's my story, and it was full of fascinating things, and I'd really like to hear your story sometime. Bye-bye.